It's not like always being proud that the flag of your country among all the others is at the beginning, but sometimes there are some responsibilities that are not so easy, like this one. I was asked to give a presentation about the lesbians in Albania, and the reason about that was that the girl who was going to be here, she couldn't come. So one night before coming here, we met together and we were thinking, what should I say and what can I say? So looking to her and talking to her, I thought, okay, I will start by showing your face and your pictures to the others there at the conference. So this is my first lesbian experience, as I called it, and her name is Jenny, is this girl here, and she's like 25 years old now, but she is a charming and very beautiful young lady, and also she was a very nice young child. Jenny is the only public outspoken lesbian in Albania, and probably you might now realize why, because she's obvious a lesbian, no? It's not that it's not that I do like those kind of stereotypes, but she is, and she is proud of that. So in 2012, she did her coming out in television. We were all together in a public debate, very hard public debate. LGBT activists, not LGBT but human rights activists, against or in front of representatives of the church, of Muslim religion, and also there was also another journalist. And this journalist suddenly he said, if my son was going to be a gay, for me was going to be better to kill him rather than to accept him. So in that moment, Jenny said, okay, took the microphone from the public, and she said, well, listen, the reason why people like us have to be hidden among people like you is obvious. You know, we have to live our life in a hidden way, because there are people who dare to go in the television and say that they were going even to kill their own children if they were LGBT. So that's Jenny, and the reason probably why we always ask ourselves, how is possible that me, for example, that I pretend to be a very important activist in Albania. The first time that I met a lesbian was the year 2009. And that's weird. That's very weird, but also interesting to help us to start to think and to question ourselves. How is that possible? And you said the guy here before said that we were going to see realities from Europe, but I don't consider Albania the reality of Europe. Probably it's Albania reality, but not at all European reality. So I believe that people like us, LGBT people, have been for many years not just hidden in their own lives, but they never accepted what they were, and there are some real historical facts that show that at least in Albania they not even we're talking about that, but they didn't even accept it as a possibility that the lesbian could exist as a reality. And one historical fact comes from 1925. Sorry about this picture, it's illustrative, it doesn't say anything about the document. What we did is we started to search in the state archives. We thought, okay, we have to do something that is much more connected to the culture. So let's go to the archives. Let's see how was the reality of LGBT people in the past. And of course, we had in mind some theories. Like, for example, we know that in Africa the sodomy laws were some presence, let's say, from the British Empire. And we know also that in countries like Albania or in ex-communist countries, the fact that homosexuality was criminalized was completely connected to the communism. We discovered that that's not true. We found out the first document that criminalized the homosexuality in 1925. But do you know what is the most important and interesting thing of this document? They don't criminalize the lesbian. They were going to put in jail for 20 years in the prison only men having sex with men, but never a lesbian. And I will just bring some questions right now. I don't intend to say you this is my full opinion, because I'm also in some moments in a process of having an opinion. For example, in this case, I really don't have any opinion. Why is that possible? Some people think that because the act of penetration, the sexual act is much more important for the closed-minded people. Some people are still thinking that because of the religious Islamic tradition in Albania, that's one explanation that can bring you to the end. I don't know. I really don't know, and probably later on we can talk on that. But this is a fact, and this is a fact that shows that the lesbian were not criminalized because they didn't know that the lesbian were there, but they were not criminalized because they even not thought about the possibility of their existence. It was out of their mind. And I think that thing changed somehow only in the early years 2000, but not before. So it kept going like that even during the communism. And of course we have some paradox that we found out during this research in the archives. So for example, we know now that the first lobbying of the female movement, it was not a real organized female movement, but there were some lobbying to have the right of vote, and it was achieved 3 years later, actually. But in this same country, you can see that having this one, at the same moment, at the same historical moment, the females were not allowed to have the heritage, the right of heritage. So what happened is that in many parts of Albania, especially in the North Albania, especially those families who didn't have males there, but only females, for the only reason to have the right of heritage, they changed their lifestyle. They started to wear as men, and she is alive now. She is like 19 years old, and she put these men clothes when she was 14 because she realized that it was going to be the only way to have the right of heritage, and she is still alive. And like her, there are plenty and plenty. Hundreds, thousands during the entire history of the 20th century in Albania. You can see they act like men, they smoke like Turkish men, you know, they talk like men, they go in the bars to drink like men, you know, they have friends only men, never females. When a female is walking, they know that they don't have to watch her, you know. Yes.
Were they married or?
No, they were never married. But I'm not, and this is another question that I do it even to myself. Does that mean that they never had sex? I don't know. That's very private, and that kind of personality is so tough and so strong that they will never show you that, you know. It's really private. This is and they still live now. They live even in big cities. They have come from the isolated regions of the North Albania. They now live even in big cities. And the other question is, why don't they change their style now that they live in another historical period? Why do they have to keep the same lifestyle and the same way of expression as they did when in Albania women like her didn't have the right to heritage. So that's another mysterious answer, if I would say.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Just they, as little girls, decided to have one day heritage, and then
yes, they decided.
Isn't it that the family decides that?
No, yeah, that's also true. It was not family who forced them to act like that.
Okay. Because in Montenegro,
For families, the best solution was to have in their midst the son of their relatives. There are plenty of cases that, for example, two brothers, they are married, one of them has only females, and the others have many males, you know. So he take one male of his brother and raise him, you know, in order to have the right of heritage. But in their cases, it was not the family who forced them. It was their decision, you know. It was as a woman, yes, as a young.
70 years ago,
before the communism, yes, to become a man, you know, to change, to cut the hair, to change the clothes, to change the habitudes, to start to change the voice and everything else. And it was this kind of character that Glenn Close saw in a picture of National Geographic, and she was inspired for a film, Albert Nobbs, 2 years ago, if I'm not wrong. But in her case, she wanted to do business in a very isolated city of Northern Ireland. But in our case, it's something more. It's also a way of expression, I believe. When you behave from a female as a man for your entire life, and then you have the opportunity to change that kind of attitude, but you don't do that. So that's a need to expression. That's not anymore a need to have the right of heritage, no? At least this is the way I see it. If you have any other explanation, please let's do it. We even had a certain name, which don't ask me to translate in English, because it's quite unique. It's quite difficult to translate it. We say bur for the man in Albania, and we say nesha to make this man a female. So it's a process of changing the word that it's quite unique, and probably I don't know if you have any other examples from other languages, but for me it's quite unique, this process, not to call her a female who become a man, but a man who was before a female. So it's quite interesting, and we call them burnesha, which even the way how you pronounce it it's with both being harsh and strong, but with also some femininity inside it, you know? Burnesha. So, as I told you, let's do these questions. Was that a pragmatic solution, or was that a pragmatic choice in very difficult times and in very difficult historical moments of a country, or what? Is she a he, or is he a she? Is a lesbian? Is a case of a bisexual person? Is a case of transgender, or what? I mean, these are questions that at least we can still do because they are still alive. But also they don't want to talk about that. They say we are like we are now, and we don't want to go back in the times when we did that decision. What is very interesting is the way how the public reacted with them. In the same country that they didn't allow the right of heritage, the same people, the same society was fully respecting these people. They were treating them as male because they chose to be a male, but from the other side, they were not going to treat in the same way the people who were going to transgender themselves from from men to females. You know, in that case, that would be a scandal in those times. And they respected them. They were able to go inside the bars only with men, to drink with men, to talk with men, with their words, with their way of expression, etc. During communism, this is a great picture. I mean, you can see and ask yourself, is she being forced to marry or what? I mean, somehow yes, because the fate of females was either to become like the first type of female, or to get married. I mean, there was no other solution in that society, especially during communism. There is also another way how communism was dealing with some social problems. For example, if in the country there were like 37% of divorced couples within a year, the reporting was going to be 3.7, not the real reporting. But from the other side, in a hidden way, everything was documented. So we have inside the archives everything documented, all kind of stories regarding gay people, all kind of stories regarding men, but never a track of lesbians. The only track of lesbians that we found for this entire period of communism was on 1988, and it was an attempt to do some pornographic pictures. But the story was not about two lesbians. The story was about one guy who took a camera and he forced two females to have some pictures in a lesbian position in order to sell those pictures to the other boys, because, you know, under communism pornography was not allowed. So even in that case we are not sure if they were lesbians or no. So that's again why I ask to myself, how is that possible? How can a nation or a society cannot have a track of lesbians, you know? But we know that they existed and they lived among us. Especially in small towns, in small regions of Albania, there were always examples of unmarried ladies, you know, like 40 years old lady, 50 years old lady, unmarried, with a special status, you know, sometimes educated, teachers, doctors, with a normal life. But what the gossips were around them, and what the reality was, it was that they were always a couple, you know. You could never find in those times and in small towns in Albania only one female unmarried woman. There were always two. There were always couples. And the question is that a lesbian example? Is that a lesbian track? Is that a lesbian story? We don't know. They still don't want to talk and to approach us. Probably it's too early. The only one who approached us was a lady who now lives in the United States, and she was chatting with us, and she still chats with us because she don't want to be identified. And she was always telling to us the story that in her life, now she is 60 years old, she never had sex, you know. She never had a real relationship with a woman, and that's so bad. We had also phrases like hey, hi, how are you? How is going? So how is your daughter? Why is she not married yet? Does she plan to marry or no? So this is the violence of the society that was put under the people who were not married yet, and that's why we still say that yes, sometimes to be married was like to force someone to live a better life than to suffer from those gossips and those terrible. I'm sorry about the third phrase, but we were talking at the lunch today. There was a journalist interested in the way of local languages, how local languages perceive the LGBT. And yes, we have a phrase, but only for males, like Gomar Mashkul, which is the male of donkey. So if a gay guy is obvious gay, they try to convince him to become a male donkey, because it is said that even the male donkey can have sex. You know, I mean, it's a stupidity raised so high in the mind of the people. So they do believe that it's a normal phrase, because if you think 2 seconds, you can realize that what are you saying? I mean, this is stupid. Yes, the case of the 2 females in 1988, they were, of course, arrested, but not accused of being lesbian. They were arrested because they were accused of doing pornography with the pictures. Now, of course, now we live in other moments, and finally we can have the courage to go to television and to talk about these issues. And finally we have the infrastructure now to work with the community, for the community building, and also to go and search in the archives about our history, not because we want to victimize ourselves, because that is an argument that people are telling to us, but because now we are proud and we are strong enough to see face to face the reality, and also to collect data for the first time. So what we had from the last CEDAW report in 2010, talking about CEDAW, you know, it's the Convention of Elimination of Discrimination of Women. So of course we were dealing there only with females, bisexual females, lesbians, and transgenders. So we figured out that the domestic violence is so strong and not localized only in isolated areas, but also inside Tirana, the capital, and also everywhere in the big cities. The real problem of the family is not because they are lesbian. The real problem of their family members is the fear that they have if their daughter was going to have the coming out process. You know, do whatever you want inside the toilet. Do whatever you want inside your home when your husband is gone, but make sure that no one knows about that. So that's the biggest concern in our families here. One of the most ways of violating women in Albania is through financial, what we call financial violence. You know, if a lady or a young lady or a woman is strong enough and well educated enough and well aware of her being, and she starts to argue with their family members about her rights, then what comes afterward is that they stop giving her money. They threat her by putting outside the house. You know, they might tell to her that, okay, next year you have to find a job wherever you want, but we will not pay for your food. We will not pay for your school, etc. One way, the classic way of stopping people to become or to be what they are, is by forcing them into marriage. And of course, the fourth issue is it's a big issue not only for the lesbians and for LGBT community, but for all women in Albania. So what happens with the women in Albania is that although the politicians are claiming that we are now reaching European Union, never this way, because we have emancipated women, we have well-educated women that they are able to find a job, to work in their job. But from the other side, what happens is that these women are working 16 hours per day, 8 hours for their professional job, and 8 hours inside the family. It is known now that at least 60% of females are declared employed inside their families, but the husband pays only the insurance in order for her to get the pension when she becomes old. But she is obligated to do every kind of jobs inside the house. So this is the first monastery, Christian monastery, from the first day, from the first church, you know, the church that was much more closer to the Bible. And it is in the South Albania. This is how it looks now, and that is a construction, 3D construction. Just to show you that there are signs of religion, although I will come to the point afterwards that the religion doesn't matter anymore in Albania, or never had mattered. For example, we have the national, what we call the national hero, you know, especially in the Balkans, every country has his own national hero, you know. So we have this Skanderbeg. Even the name Skanderbeg tells you that it's a Muslim, you know. But he was born an Orthodox in North Albania, in a family that was close to the Eastern Church. He was raised as a Muslim because from the Sultan in the Ottoman Empire, and afterwards, when he became a chief commander of the Ottoman Empire and he came to Albania, he declared immediately himself as a Catholic. So a man who, who acts within three religions means that either he doesn't care about religion, or the religion itself in that country is not that strong to influence the people. And this is the guy. And this is the statue that is at Tirana, at the center of Tirana. So we had the last census that tells us about some statistics for religion was in 1930. But and this is the results of that statistic. So around 70% of the population was Muslim, 20% Orthodox, especially in South Albania, 10% Catholics in the North Albania. But we did the census in 2011, and we had a very interesting development. There was a specific question about religion, but only 30% of the Albanians replied to that. 70% declared that I don't want to reply for that, and some of them, most of them said I don't believe in God. But those who replied, they were around even more than 60% Muslims, and less than half of them were practicing their religion. So even those who were identifying themselves as Muslim or Christian, not all of them were practicing the religion. And also we discovered also the Protestants were becoming very, very, very strong and investing in schools and other services. Now, after I told you the statistic, the reason is that to give you the impression of the position of the religion in our country. But what's happening nowadays with the emerging LGBT movement is that the opposing part, it's difficult to find any more people who are opposing publicly LGBT, because they are aware that it's a policy, it's a politics, it's a culture issue, it's an emancipation issue, etc. But those who are publicly opposing are the Muslim community and also the Catholic Church. It's quite interesting to see the indifference of Orthodox in the South Albania. But the question is, how strong can they be in order to stop the LGBT community to achieve their goals? Can they be strong in a society that has that kind of statistics and that kind of history and that kind of background? So, here is a protest of the Muslim community in the center of Tirana, 10 days before we were planning to do a public activity. And you might think, what kind of activity? Are there going to be transgenders in a gay pride in Tirana? No. Our activity was this one. We took a bicycle in a heavy rain and we marched, not we marched, we took a ride in the main boulevard. So that's all. We were just 13 people, no? Imagine 13 people only with bicycles, not with weapons or with strange wearings or with colors, and that's all. Of course, we had a sort of incident that was a small explosion. Last month, the court decided to punish the guy, the dude, with 3 months imprisonment, but it was appealed, and we also asked not to make that kind of punishment, because in the juridical system of Albania there are alternative punishments. So for us, it was obvious that he doesn't merit to go to the prison for that thing. What he merits now is to educate him and to have more information and to have more knowledge. So the case is in the appeal, and I don't think they will put into force that kind of punishment. But anyway, we found out that the guy was from the Muslim community as well. And the last question, to put it like this, because the entire presentation was full of questions. And I'm sorry I was not fully prepared in this case, but anyway, the question is becoming LGBT issue a justification to give image to the religion in a country where the image of religion was either not important or not existing? I mean, the question is, are we becoming not just the target, but the way for the religion to gain a position in the society? And of course, this is a metaphoric question, because I do believe that it's if not for the moment, it will be a lost game if they consider this cause as a justification to empower themselves. So, that's all.
Alors ma question, tout à l'heure tu as parlé de ti fait mal. Alors je voudrais que la définition par rapport au texte, et après moi je donnerai la mienne. Okay?
In your presentation there was a slide on CEDAW, the Commission for Equality.
Yeah, the T female.
So sorry, the question is that Emily is asking, is she's saying is you called when you said LB and T, and then you followed by the word female, is that a trans female, or how do you describe
From
it?
man to female.
C'était un homme qui était devenu un femme.
D'accord, parce que souvent la confusion est faite. On définit une personne transgenre non pas par son sexe d'origine, mais bien par son genre dans lequel elle se revendique. Personnellement, I'm a transgender female. Ok? Voilà. Et non pas male.
So Emily says that she is a transgender female, not a...
Louder, please. Yes.
Oui,
I'm a transgender female.
No, I'm just making sure Sorry. So Emily is saying that often there is confusion about definition and how we identify transgender people, and it's important to ensure that we are clear about how people wish to be identified. For example, Emily says that she is identified as a trans female.
Yes.
Oui. I'm just making sure
Je le revendique haut et fort. Voilà.
D'accord.
Ok.
Parfait. There we are. Everyone understood?
Yeah.
Jolly good. Should we move on? Merci.
Thank you.
Fantastic presentation. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions that you may wish to ask Kristi?
Yes.
Il a une autre question.
Maybe we have already talked about it.
Kristi, tu vas rester là-bas? You want to stay over here?
It doesn't matter. I can talk. It's better to have a discussion than.
Well, it's just that we have 4 other presentations. I don't know whether we want to ask, if it's a quick question that you want to ask just Kristi, and then we move very quickly onto the other presentations, but or we can wait until the end. I mean, it's up to you. It depends on the question that you have, and then come back at the end and ask the questions in a big group and have a wider discussion.
But just about the acceptation of Agnieszka.
Okay, it's a very specific question. You can probably ask it now.
Yeah. So maybe you have asked, but you want to explain it again if they are fully accepted and how they are so accepted.
Il a posé la question sur avec ton société.
That's a big question. I mean, it's the same society that if there was a boy to becoming to behave like a girl, to wear himself like a girl, they were not going to accept it. But they are accepting that kind of expression probably because being a man is important. It's much more important than being a woman. So it doesn't matter. If you are a woman that wants to become a man, that's okay. But if you are a man that wants to become a woman, that's not okay. So this probably it's because of the heterosexism.
Yes.
That's very interesting. People should study more in that issue.
Si on avance qu'on est transgenre, en plus, oui, tu vois, transgenre. Lesbienne,
now we have a second presentation of session. So we have 11 countries.
Should I stay on this place or I should not like to have
Yes, it's better if
behind my back?
we can stay here.
Something is the phone ringing up here. Keeps ringing. There.
I have 7 minutes, yeah?
She has 7 minutes.
7 minutes?
This is how it's written. Is it?
Yes.
But you can.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so my name is Biljana Stanković-Lori. I come from a broken country called Serbia, but I'm not going to speak in front of the colors of my country because then I would not be here. Yes, Serbia don't recognize the LGBT rights, no matter that in 2009 we got anti-discrimination law. Yes, Serbia do everything what is like logistic, you know, like good people are writing the notes and doing whatever they need to go to European Union, but exactly it's opposite happening in reality. I would share the flyers of my organization because it's trilingual, so there is also English version. So Novi Sad lesbian organization is formed in 2004. It is kind of, so we can argue about that, kind of separatistic in a way of giving